Views expressed in this podcast are solely those of the participants. The hosts make no claim to be literary experts, and their opinions are exactly that, opinions. All creative works discussed or reviewed are the intellectual property of the creators of said stories and is being used under the fair use doctrine.
Of Swords and Soulmates, a podcast where we read, watch, and discuss romantasy stories. I'm one of your hosts, Mari, and with me I have my beloved husband, Kelly.
Hey everyone, it's Kelly. We also have Ashley.
Hi guys, it's Ashley. We also have Jonathan.
What's good? It's JP. And guess who we have here today? We got Sarah with an H.
We have friends.
And Jess with an E.
Jess with an E? Is it spelled a different way?
It's not. Is it not? I thought maybe it could be Jess with a U.
Just?
Oh.
Just?
Could you imagine? Like Geoss. Jess. Oh, is that?
It might as well.
Actually,
Jonathan, you're thinking like an author. Like, how weird can I spell this name? That's what you're thinking.
in the beginning. How do they do that? I can't even mess it up. Yeah. We got Sarah and Jess. Where are y'all from? Tell us about
Sarah.
Oh, well.
We are from a podcast called Hissin' and Kissin'. Can I curse on this? Is it okay?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, we have a podcast for monster fuckers is what our deal is. So I, Sarah, live in Florida, and Jess,
I'm in Vancouver, Canada. There you go. There's the accent.
and together we put out a weekly podcast about all things monster fucker every week.
Basically getting raw dogged by various monsters.
No, we actually we talk about that, but we pick like a monster of the week and we sort of talk about its origins. We talk about it in pop culture, its relationship with sexuality in today's culture. We pick some media. We talk to authors. We've talked to small businesses like sex toy companies. It's a really diverse and sexually free podcast. So yeah,
it's so much fun. I love you guys. I love your guys' podcast. Yeah, I always keep you guys for like, today is a bad day. Guess what I'm listening to?
Yeah. Our unhinged ramble.
Absolutely. I love it. I found out about Hissin' and Kissin' at Dragon Con. I met Sarah there at a midnight panel or something. Did not know you guys existed.
About monster fucking.
Yes, it was a panel about monster fucking, and Sarah got up there. Well, no, for starters, I was dressed as like the worst Mothman ever. I was sitting on the floor talking books with somebody, and then this vision in like a blue ball gown walks by.
Truly.
That's how I first
Sarah
saw
looked
you.
amazing that night.
Yes. So beautiful. And then you go up there ballsy as fuck and like ask questions. And I'm like, oh,
it's because I was drunk.
Well, I needed some of that.
Yeah.
And then I go talk to you guys afterwards. I'm like, wait, there's a whole podcast? Wait, you guys had a panel and I missed it? What?
I know.
So yes, anybody out there, if you at all like monster romance, monster fucking, if you're like, what is this thing? And I want to know more, please listen to their podcast. It is a lot of fun.
Yes. Thank you.
All right, so today we're going to be discussing Morning Glory Milking Farm by C.M. Nascosta. But before we get into it, we're going to go over some news. I have a few news things. I'm trying to keep it short, but we'll see. We can, talk if there's anything you guys want to say. First thing is that the Goodreads Choice Awards is open for voting. Right now, it's in the open round session, so it's open from November 12th to November 24th. You can go on there and vote for who you think should be the best. Whatever. There's a romantasy section. There's a fantasy section. There's a romance section. One of your guys' favorite books, Sarah and Jess, or at least Sarah, Bride.
Oh, yeah.
I was expecting it to be
Bride!
In the romantic section. It's actually in the romance section. So if you're looking to vote for it, it's in romance. Allie
Give it all
Hazelwood,
of the awards.
Yeah, she's competing with herself because she's got 2 books in there.
10 out of 10.
Oh,
10 out of 10 knots.
Yeah. 10 out of 10.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, all the knots. That was a fun book.
I hope she's going to beat herself. I oftentimes find myself beating myself.
Talking about monster romance, we'll beat ourselves off.
Hey.
I don't know. I don't underestimate the love of Bride. We made like
That
a
would be
casual
nice.
TikTok about it, and it's at like 17,000. Like people just love that book. So
Yeah.
I don't
It's
know.
a fun book. It's a fun book.
Mhm.
I know there's a few other books that we've either read on the podcast, on this podcast, or talked about that are in different sections. So the most of them are in the romantasy section. Games Gods Play, which we just did last week, is one of the ones in the romantasy section. So is, you guys help me. Was it Spell? Oh my God, the Sarah Beth Durst one.
Spell Shop?
Spell Shop. Thank you. I was going to say Spellbound. I'm like, that is not it. Yeah. Spell Shop was one of the ones in there. And When the Moon Hatched. There's several other ones. So that's the first round. Then there's another round of voting that will go from November 26th to December 1st. And then the final winners will be announced on December 5th. So it's always fun to see just what gets nominated and what gets in what categories.
What was the name of it? Did you say the name of that one book was The Love of Bride?
No, just Bride.
The Bride.
The
Or is it
Bride.
just Bride? It's just Bride, yeah.
I thought
it's
it was
just-
Bride by Allie
It's Bride.
Hazelwood.
Yeah.
It is, sorry. Yep.
Mari, you've read that one, right?
I have. It was fun. Yeah.
I haven't. But
Oh,
it's a
I thought you'd
series.
read
and I
it.
think that's no. But it's supposed to be a series, right? I think I was
Yes.
holding out.
Yes. There's going to be another one.
Ah.
Yeah. I need.
Do we know when the
closure.
next one's going to be released?
He's writing it
Have
right
we heard
now.
anything? Do we know?
She just started it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's
Out
you
books
won't-
pretty quickly though.
If you
Yeah.
fast forward the podcast, you can get to her next book that much faster.
I think you get closure with the first
Yes.
one though. I think it's a standalone.
Oh.
The
oh.
second
I
one
agree.
is just like two other characters that we've met, and it's going to be their story. So
I
they're like
needed another
teased
book
right
from
there
the
at the
Target
end.
cart anyway. Thank you.
No, perfect.
Yeah, it's more like that romance book novel rather than like romance novel
Yeah.
like model where it's like they're kind of separate little couples as opposed to like
Yeah.
romantasy where you're like, oh, cliffhanger, and now I need to know who dies kind of thing.
And it's a mystery too. So they close up the mystery at the end.
Ooh, interesting.
All right. So the next bit of news I have is I got on the newsletter or Substack or whatever for Senlin Yu, who wrote Manacled, which I know Ash and I have read. Have you guys read it?
I
Listen.
have.
Yeah, it's on Spotify.
Shut the front door.
Yeah, that's how I listened to it. Somebody
Didn't it-
narrated it all.
Wow.
Shit, you
Yeah.
guys. How destroying was that? Because it was hard enough to read it, but to like
Yeah.
it be spoken feels almost
It was
religious.
heavy, really
Oh, yeah,
heavy.
there
Holy shit. You just
So
blew
she's
my mind.
rewriting it to be published, of course.
Right.
Yeah,
and she
yeah.
put on there that she had turned in the final manuscript for its final round of edits. She just turned it in, and it's at 1,100 pages, and it's going to be called Alchemized. Is the new
I
title?
cannot.
Oh,
Yes, very exciting.
That's a fun throwback. Well, I don't know if it's fun, but it is a throwback to the Harry Potter origins because the original book was the Alchemist Stone, wasn't it?
Philosopher's
Harry
Stone,
Potter-
but yeah,
Philosopher's
it's
Stone,
alchemy
yeah, but
based
the
for
thing-
sure.
But no, but in
Yeah.
England it was the Alchemist Stone.
There.
It's
Yeah.
that the Sorcerer's Stone and the Philosopher's Stone. They didn't think people would understand what the Philosopher's
that's right,
Stone
yeah.
was.
I know they
Oh,
brought up
that's right.
alchemy in it. Anyway,
They did,
Right.
yeah, because Nicholas Flamel was an alchemist. For those that don't know, Manacled / Alchemize is inspired by, of course, the Harry Potter, but also Handmaid's Tale. So fun times.
Oh.
I'm not gonna like that book. Am
No,
I?
you're gonna hate it.
It's
And
super
you're gonna
dark.
feel feelings that you don't like.
No,
All the
neither that.
feelings.
Do you remember a series of unfortunate events where they tell you like the
Yeah.
whole time
Oh,
along
I
the
like
way
that
that
with,
this is not going to end
We're gonna go see him.
on a happy note?
What's his name? Doogie Howser.
Doogie Howser?
Yeah.
Oh,
Wait, was that the
No.
wrong? Thinking of the wrong
Neil
thing?
Patrick Harris?
I think
Or
you're
maybe I'm thinking
of the wrong
about
thing.
Lemony Snicket. Isn't
Lemony
that?
Snicket.
Yeah, Doogie Howser's in
Yeah.
that, right?
yeah,
Is he?
he's
Neil
He's the
Patrick Harris.
Count.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I like that one. What's wrong with that? That's not the same thing. It's not. Malfoy's not in that one, is he? No, I didn't think so. I think we're in the clear. We're good. Yeah. Is that one
Okay.
lady's got a single eyebrow?
Listen, I warned you. This is
Oh, I'm not gonna read it. You told me it's like you said it's like The Handmaid's Tale, right?
yeah.
Nah, that's
Jonathan got through half an episode of The Handmaid's Tale
Yeah.
and then banned it from the house.
it makes me want to punch people right in the face.
fair enough.
I had nightmares about it. I had to stop watching it.
Yeah, it's rough. It's
can't do
that.
it's
I would say the Handmaid's Tale book is still my answer. Anytime anyone asks what's the scariest book you've ever read, is The Handmaid's Tale.
Agreed.
Yeah. I read it
Yeah.
way young, and I have yet to be able to watch the TV show. I'm like,
I'm not brave enough to read
Mm.
it, but I will finish the TV show out of spite.
Yeah, it's like road rage. For me.
I need to
I've
know
heard great
what's
things
coming.
about the show. Yeah.
Phenomenal show.
Yeah.
Intense though. Very intense.
see.
Ooh.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of that situation, next bit of news is that Florida releases their list of banned books for schools.
Such an interesting segue how that worked out.
Isn't it? Isn't it? But wait, there's
Serendipitous.
more. There were several Sarah J. Maas books on there. There's The Bluest Eye by Toni Morrison, and of course, The Handmaid's Tale by Margaret Atwood
course.
is one of the banned
Yeah,
ones. Imagine
isn't that that's their textbook, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
Their how-to, apparently.
They leaked the blueprints by using the Handmaid's
The world
Tale.
we live in.
We don't want anybody to know.
Interesting going through the list of the banned books and reading through them, and I'm just like, there's things that I remember studying in school that are on the banned list now. But whenever I hear or read or see anything about banned books, I always think about the I'm looking it up real quick, the Stephen King quote, the run, don't walk to the nearest non-school library or to the local bookstore and get whatever it was that they banned. Read whatever they're trying to keep out of your eyes and your brain, because that's exactly what you need to know.
Yep.
Yep.
Well, I mean, arguably, I'm not sure if 14-year-olds need to read Sarah J. Maas.
That's probably legit.
No, but I don't think it should be banned from them. I
From
mean,
the
I
school
read a
library.
lot of stuff. It doesn't have to be banned. Just don't put it in there.
Well, the thing you have to
that's
remember,
the
the
library.
banned book list is books that were in the libraries and then were taken out after a parent challenged them. So you have books by Sarah J. Maas, you have books by Toni Morrison, you have Ernest Hemingway, you have even one school library has banned the Iliad.
What?
Mm.
That's wild.
I think
One banned
No.
one of the Princess Diaries books, and that was interesting.
There's more
to
than
me.
one?
Yeah, there's like a whole
Yeah.
series.
Interesting.
There's only a couple movies.
Oh, there's more than one movie?
What?
Wait, is that the movie?
And they're making a
What?
third.
Is that the movie
Yeah.
with?
We're all learning so much tonight, you guys. You should do this more often.
That one has the
Yeah.
upside down cover.
They announced it this year. However, Chris Pine has not been confirmed, and the socials are in a rage
Who's
about
Chris
it.
Pine?
trolling us. Or they're
They're
trolling.
trolling us. Correct.
Yeah.
It would be a delightful surprise. Star Trek, Captain Kirk.
Oh, okay. I like him, but from a distance.
Oh, okay.
Why?
What's wrong
I
with
don't
Chris
know.
Pine?
I
It's
think
the forehead.
Yes.
no, it's not the forehead. I think it's his cheeks.
Which
His
ones?
cheekers do it for me. I think
Which
freckles.
cheeks?
The upper ones. The upper ones. The upper ones. Yeah, I haven't seen his lower ones.
So yes, there is.
I did it.
Princess
I don't
Diaries
care.
3 confirmed. Anne Hathaway announced it this year. It is a series, a book series. Although I'm not sure how many books are in it, but I did see on the list that there's a middle school in Florida that banned like book number 8 for some reason. It was an interesting decision.
Yeah.
Sad. Library cards are still a thing, though, right? Like they can just go to the public library.
Public library, yeah. Like I'm just like, do the Stephen King thing, get the list of banned books and use it as a TBR. That's all I'm saying.
And read the trigger warnings.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I remember reading books that were adult books very early on. And I mean, I don't think they severely damaged me. I think I'm semi
I know I read
okay.
a lot, but I do have a monster fucking podcast with Jess now, so I'm not.
And I do love
sure
that monster fucking podcast, so I don't
That's
know, maybe.
like, no, or like,
Decisions were made.
yeah. Like I'm like,
I also had like zero sex education and nobody to talk to. Books were it. Like everything I learned from books.
Everything
Until it was hands-on.
Everything
That's
I
all I did.
learned was from the Vampire Chronicles, which I read way too early. Way too early in life.
It was Anne Rockelaier's The Beast, Beauty and the Beast, which
Yes.
if you guys very early.
yeah.
Rip.
Okay, moving on to other news. Atlanta is having an an Atlanta indie bookshop crawl. Crybell sent this to me on our Instagram. So it's like the indie bookstores in Atlanta from November 22nd to December 1st are doing a bookshop crawl, and you can like get your little passport from them stamped, and then you get like a % off on, like a discount on buying stuff from there.
Yeah.
So just sounds like a fun time if you're in that area. And the last thing is just a reminder that Swords and Soulmates is going to be at the Dance of the Dragons event in Orlando. It's put on by Alexia Events. And so we'll be there wandering around the marketplace on a Friday and Saturday. If you're going to be there, say hi, send us a message, etc. And maybe we can meet up. Anybody else have any news?
I'll see you on Sunday, won't I? At another event?
That's right. That is Sunday. No, that's going to be in December, isn't it?
Oh, that's right. You're right. I'm skipping ahead. I'm so sorry.
If anyone is going to be at the Krampusnacht in Orlando, Sunday, December,
7th?
oh my God.
7th or 8th?
Calendar,
It must be
7th.
the 8th because we have the 7th.
Yep, it's the 8th.
Yeah.
Orlando Krampusnacht is the 8th in Orlando, and there will be much Krampusing. I'm so excited. I've not done anything like big time Krampus since I lived in Germany. Other than like
excited.
Kelly and I went to a Christmas haunted house in Jacksonville. The 13th Story does like a Krampus haunted house for Christmas.
I didn't
know
that.
That was fun. Yes.
Well, I will be there with bells on and my hooves on and my ears on and my horns on. So
and your tail. Don't forget your tail.
And my tail. My tail is awesome. I'm very excited. But you
cannot wait.
You will see me in my Krampus.
I would like to see the tail.
Yeah, it's on my Instagram, I think. You can check my Instagram for it. I think it's on there.
I'll show you my front tail later.
Say, how do you feel about tails, husband?
I got one on the front. I'll show it to you. Do tails have to be on the back? Is that like a rule? I mean, I guess they have to tail behind, right? But
yeah.
Otherwise, it would just be like a pull string.
Moving on. Okay, let's get into the book. So we're doing Morning Glory Milking Farm by I always forget her name wrong. C.M.
Nascosta.
C.M. Nascosta. I always want to say it's C.S. Nascosta.
Yes.
C.M. Nascosta.
Yeah.
Siesta. Apparently that's what I need is a siesta. So we decided on this book. Sarah suggested it when we were going to do this podcast together between us. And I had read it before. I think I first read it like February or March or so of this year, and then proceeded to read, I think, every Cambric Creek book that was out.
Yeah.
But I reread it for today.
Yeah.
All right, so let me do a little synopsis and then we'll get into talking about it. This book was published August 1st of 2021, and the little synopsis says, Violet is a typical down-on-her-luck millennial, mid-20s, overeducated, and drowning in debt, on the verge of moving into her parents' basement. When a lifeline appears in the form of a very unconventional job in neighboring Cambric Creek, she has no choice but to grab it with both hands. Morning Glory Farm offers full-time hours, full benefits, and generous pay with no experience needed. There's only one catch. The clientele is grade A certified prime beef with the manly, meaty endowments to match. Hands-on work with minotaurs isn't something Violet ever considered as a career option, but she's determined to turn this opportunity into a reversal of fortune. When a stern, deep-voiced client begins to specially request her for his sessions at the farm, maintaining her professionalism and keeping him out of her dreams is easier said than done. Violet is resolved to make a dent in her student loan and afford name-brand orange juice, and a one-sided crush on an out-of-her-league minotaur is not part of her plan, unless her feelings aren't so one-sided after all. ... All right, so we'll do a little like overview, general, how many stars, non-spoilery bit, and then we'll get into the good stuff after that.
Okay.
Okay. Who wants to go first? Okay, I can go first. For me, overall, it was a 4-star read, which actually bumps it up over 3 stars, which is the first time I read it. I gave it 3 stars. I really think that the character development and the world building and whatnot is just a little bit above average to most of the monster romance stuff out there. And I think that with the book that came after it, the one from Rourke's point of view, it's a really good story. So yeah, 4 stars for me. Who wants to go next?
I'll go. I feel like we've been doing girls first anyway, the last couple episodes. I think it was like a 3.5. I went into this one blind. I'm not going to lie to you guys. Sarah recommended it. No. Like conceptually, I understood what I was getting into. This is not the most questionable thing I've ever read. Full transparency.
Yeah.
So Sarah recommended it because I believe Jonathan's question is what's the least scary? Like what's the vanilla monster book?
Yeah.
And if this
right,
was
I forgot that.
vanilla, not I. So it was a 3.5 for me. I thought it was a delightful surprise.
Yeah.
There was world building, right?
Mhm.
And there was, perspective from human. I didn't know book 2 was his POV. It just kind of, I think my biggest complaint was that it just kind of ended, but like also that was such a nice palate cleanser.
Yeah.
So I'm curious what book 2 is. And now my Goodreads followers are going to be like, what's going on, Ash? The text messages I got the other week were pretty iconic. So it was a 3.5 for me. I enjoyed it. I wouldn't not discontinue it. And arguably, I think it would make a really fun series on Hulu.
Oh, yeah. I think so too. Yeah. I'll go. We'll do all the girls, right?
All the girls.
Yeah. So I did forget I recommended this because Jonathan did want something that was not a scary monster. And I said, okay, I've got it. This is like the least scary monster book I can think of. And I also think it's a great representation of monster romance because they are monsters. There is a very clear romance. There's world building, but it doesn't necessarily have to be scary. I'm using air quotes in the way that you think. It's scary in its own way, right? Like,
student loan debt is pretty scary.
Yes,
and
that's exactly what I was thinking.
Scary is relative.
Yeah.
Yes,
I think this is such a perfect example of something that's in the monster romance that's well written but doesn't take itself too seriously. I would give it like 4.5 stars. This is my like recommended like intro to monster romance book. Like if Bride is not your thing, try this because this is I just think it's a wonderful intro into the community, into world building, into the genre, everything. I recommend this book. I recommended it last weekend. I got somebody to buy a physical copy of it at a bookstore. Like, I'll walk up to anybody and I'll be like, "Oh, you're looking at monsters? Have you tried Morning Glory Milking Farm?" And they're like, "What?" I'm like, "Here, take it. You're welcome." Like, I just like hand it off to people. So yeah, I think it's great.
This was my first time reading it, even though we've talked about it on our podcast a lot. And my taste is a bit different than Sarah's. Like, I like the scary, like, I like the danger, So having it basically be an office romance didn't quite do it for me.
Office romance.
It's basically an office romance.
It is. Not wrong. I just had to.
So I gave it like a 3, I think.
Yeah.
We're going to unpack that later, Jess.
Yeah.
Guys?
All right. I was going to give it a 3. I was going to give it like a straight up 3, but let me tell you, I got a lot of action the week we read that book. I'm going to bump this up. If this is what monster romance is about, I'm down.
He doesn't know it, but A Soul to Keep also.
I have no idea.
Was beneficial.
I love that book so much.
Yeah.
Oh my god, the Dustwalker Brides, guys! I got the special edition, and I'm so excited.
I'm sorry, sir. Continue.
Oh yeah, no, it was. I didn't know. I don't know if I saw it as like office romance, more like a customer service kind of thing. But also like a very modern. I don't know. It was I enjoy contemporary work, and I thought it was interesting.
It was polite.
I got excited. She got excited. We got excited. There was some good side effects. So I'm going to bump it up to a 4. It's also, this is the spiciest book that I've read this year. 72% on the calculator.
Yeah. Yes. Stay on the monster fucking side. It gets much, much spicier than this. Much spicier.
This was quite vanilla. Yeah.
It really was. Yeah.
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 We're gonna have to get new criteria for the
He
calculator
immediately
because
turned to his laptop and started
when it
typing.
was
you
as soon as I
guys.
put it into the spreadsheet, it was like it hit 72%. So if this is like scratching the surface, we're gonna need more
Yeah.
criteria.
Yeah. Well, there you go.
Be careful what you ask for.
Yes.
We can recommend it.
I'll take input. If you have feedback, the algorithm is good. Yeah, I can take any sort of filters to drop books through that I can use to help decide if how the spice level of a book.
I want to circle back to your spreadsheet after we go through ratings.
Oh, yes,
I don't think
please.
Jess knows
We'll
about it,
unpack
but-
that later too.
Yeah,
don't
please
worry.
do. I'd love for Jess to know more
Add it
about
to
that.
the
I have something I want to add on to that spreadsheet.
Okay.
I'm in.
I wanted to give this book either a 2.5 or a 3. It was just not very original. It was an office romance. The main character is only attractive because he's a wealthy, powerful person. He's a wealthy,
Ooh.
powerful man.
I see
and
that. Yeah.
You know,
Oh,
and
Preach,
he's in a
Kelly,
position of
preach.
power, authority with a lot of money. So, of course, the main character is going to be attracted to him. I feel that was the entirety of the romance that started. It was a office romance. Girl falls for the rich boss. It was essentially secretary falls for the rich boss. That's exactly what this story was.
Oh, I so
And-
disagree with that statement. That's so interesting.
I feel there was
Yeah.
nothing original to it. There was nothing new about it. I mean, obviously you add in the spice and sex stuff and that makes it different. But as far as the core part of the story, nothing original.
I think what makes this story different, because the base of a lot of monster romances are not original. I will agree with you there. But the thing that makes the monster romances original in and of themselves are the monsters. So you kind of gotta put the monster in the forefront. Like, have you ever? Okay, so the story, the baseline is basic. It's a basic bitch. But when have you ever read about somebody whose job it is to pump minotaurs all day long? I mean, like,
Specifically Minotaurs.
yeah,
I mean, that is a new idea to me.
that's
Like,
a new idea.
Yeah.
you're literally a milking farm. I think, you know, when you're looking at romance, I think there's only so many original ideas that are going to exist. I mean, I think that's why we have genres and tropes, right?
Well, and that's art
so
in
it's-
general, right? Like
Mhm,
in the
absolutely.
music industry, there are only so many notes, right? There are only so many
Yeah.
ways, differentiating ways to put the notes together, and eventually you're going to have some
Yeah.
overlap and discrepancy of
I
similarities.
don't know. My Beat Saber game that begs to differ. Those notes hurt like a motherfucker.
Well, and
Yeah,
we've
so
talked
do
about
Rourke's.
before. Yeah, we've talked about before about how with romance books, the fact that there is a comfort, the romance structure of romance books is a comfort. Like, I know if I'm having anxiety brain, if I'm having a bad day, if my living room is full of a leak and my husband's out of town and I'm sick and the world is falling apart, I can pick up a romance book. And even if it's one that I've never read before, there's going to be, one or more people getting together. There's going to be maybe some conflict. And at the end, it's all going to come together and it's going to be a happy ending. Like, sometimes you want that formula, you want that comfort because it's a little bit of controlled escapism. Yeah. All right, Kelly, do you want to do the little spoiler bit so we can talk about the rest, please?
Sure. From this point forward, we'll be talking about spoilers. So if you don't want to be spoiled, stop listening.
All right.
I like to
Anything we want to
spoil you.
add in the spoiler bits before we get into talking about world building? Anything specific to like overall stuff?
I don't know.
I'm just wondering, like, I think does he have lips? Like, what's going on with that? Like, I got questions.
cow lips. He's got cow lips. Yeah.
He's got wide cow lips. Yeah.
Yeah, he's
I'm
got
looking
cow
at-
lips. I think when you're looking at monster romances, they're not going to kiss you the same way as a human would kiss you, right?
Mhm.
So think about if you ever went to a petting farm, like a petting zoo, right? And like the way that cow's lips kind of, I mean, that's what we're looking at, right? We're looking at a monster that has a cow head or a bull head on top. It's just like we just finished our Mothman episode that's coming out, and the moths, they don't have the same kind of mouth, right?
Yep.
what they do have is this long tongue. And that's part of the monstrous appeal of it, right? Like it's something so different that your brain almost has a hard time computing what it would feel like, because I don't think a lot of people are making out with cows or making out with moths, you know?
There's got to
I
the thing
hope
is there's
not.
got to be a couple somewhere. There's a guy
I'm
who's like,
sure there's a couple, but like for
that
the
cow's
most part,
looking very
it's a almost an exercise in your imagination,
Yeah.
right?
I'm looking at some images here that are associated with the cover, and like one of them just looks like, what are those cute little cows? Ashley, what are those cute little cows?
Highland.
Yeah, one of them has,
Highland
he has
cows,
like
yeah.
Yeah.
he has like a Highland
Yeah, I was
cow
going to bring that up when we talk
hairdo.
about cover. Yeah, when we talk about the cover.
It's like-
Let's just skip to the cover. I agree.
Yeah.
Like I think I did not picture him. I did not picture him as what he is on the cover. He was absolutely a Highland cow through and through in my head the entire time. Especially
so
every time
much
she
fun.
mentioned like his mop of hair. Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's mop of hair.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, very
Yeah.
angsty, very angsty. Because tonight will be there. I guess I'm getting like out of that. That's the vibe I'm getting. Also,
Yeah.
a lot of abs. How many? I have one ab when I stand up and 2 when I bend over, and I don't think my abs are supposed to touch. He's got like 10.
Well, good for him.
He did all the sit-ups. This is some bullshit. right
I
there.
really I thought the cover that they did was very cute, very like Harlequin kind of vibes
Yeah.
to it. But I was like, but that's not what I picture.
No.
I still thought it was pretty.
No.
Like I gave it probably like a 4 stars for the cover because it was nice.
Yeah.
I
I think it's like
you
when
know.
you look at Katie Roberts type books, they
Yeah.
are often
Yes.
done in that same fashion, but the monsters are usually like a lot more explained a lot differently than what's on the cover.
Yeah.
But I like that kind of like throwback to that like traditional romance, especially like an 80s romance, like the ripped bodiceness of it all.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
You
Ash,
get a-
what do you
you
think
get
of the
a
cover?
shot of his tail. Do you see his tail anywhere? Ashley?
Mhm.
On the
I want to see.
cover?
I want to see. I want to see this dude's tail.
I'm not sure if they talked about a tail.
Yeah, no, they
Hey.
talk about his tail because it goes in and out of his pants. He's got a little.
Oh shit,
little
you're right.
he's got a little,
I
like
think
a
they
button.
talk about his tail like whipping around, like
Yeah.
swatting kind of.
Like,
Yeah.
you think he's like, oh, he's a happy chappy. Like you can just see
Yeah.
it. Like,
Extra
bing, 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 bing,
appendages.
bing, 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 bing. Yeah.
I think I think it's a great cover.
I'm not.
Also, are there cows in the background of the cover? Because that disturbs me slightly.
I don't
Wait,
think
Yeah.
there are.
What?
There are,
What?
yeah,
Oh,
there are
something
regulation
there.
cows there. They're like,
I think is it a horse or a cow?
It's a
That's
cow.
it looks like a cow. It
That's
looks
the
like a cow.
roundest horse I ever did.
But-
see.
That
but
is
we're not
a cow.
That's a thick horse. That's okay.
Am I looking
Um,
at a different cover than you?
I
guys
must be
are?
looking at a
there's,
different cover.
There's expanded ones that have a little more background, and those have
Okay.
actual cows in the background.
Okay, because I see like one horse head. I'm like, I don't see anything else what you guys are talking about.
Well,
Yeah,
realistically,
same.
we're
I
not
don't
talking
know
about
that.
a cow and a lady. We're talking about a
A
minotaur.
minotaur. Yeah,
and a
but
lady,
like
right? He just has cow-esque features.
Well,
Right.
in the book, some of the cows have or some of the minotaurs have a fetish to be milked like a cow. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's weirdly fitting. Oh gosh.
yeah.
It's interesting. I thought that she, like the what's her name, Violet, was like wondering if all the different creatures or monsters or whatever had their own fetishes. I'm like, you know what? Probably. You know,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
like it makes sense. So,
Uh,
Ash, what would you give the cover?
oh, that's a 4.
Same. Yeah.
It told me everything about the book in that cover.
Yeah.
I knew exactly what I was getting into, and I was not disappointed.
Can I bring up what the original cover looked like? Because
Oh,
it's
yeah.
It's hard.
Yeah,
I
this
hate
is
it.
the mainstream cover, but the original cover did not look like this. When I downloaded the book, it looked like the original cover, and that's something else entirely.
Is that the jug of milk?
Yes, with the black gloves
Mhm.
and the outline
Yeah.
of the Minotaur. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
This is
that's something else.
That's
Was
an
this
Amazon
self-published?
self-published like
Yeah,
It
it's
sure
like
looks like one. Yeah,
She didn't even have Canva Pro. She just had.
that's giving
she was just-
secretary
the budget.
for
She had the
sure.
budget stuff.
She was doing her best.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
All right, Sarah and Jess, what do you think? What would you rate the cover? And whichever one you want to rate, the old one or the new one.
I think the old one is horrifying in my
Yeah,
opinion. I
yeah.
just don't like it. It seems like a scientific experiment, but I think the newer one, the romance cover one, I love it. Honestly, I I would take all of these monster romance covers and frame them and put them up in my office. Like, I think they're great.
Ooh.
I love these like rip bodice like monster covers. I think they're fantastic.
I will so I agree, but I will say it's interesting to think about how there was an original cover and then there's a newer cover, and that kind of just goes to show the popularity of it and how monster romance is becoming more mainstream. The fact that it needed a more appealing, more sexy cover.
Yeah.
I agree.
Agreed. Yeah.
Jonathan?
I thought it was a very warm and inviting cover. There are a couple things that threw me off. One was like, I don't know if I saw him with a mullet. I don't know if I saw him as a ginger either. And I don't.
She says like apricot, doesn't she?
I don't.
Mhm.
And then I
think
also
so.
I don't know how I feel about his forearm mohawks that he's got going on there. But all that stuff, and I had this mental like breakdown of like, wow, what do his lips do? Yeah.
What do
but
his
you know,
lips do?
that's what I'm saying. Like, yeah, I want to know. Like, I need to know the mechanics of that. So kind of like the tism took over. So I tried to like figure out like what do cow lips look like? What do cow lips want to do? Like, what is you know like? Do you think does he like when he's hitting the top when he gets to the top of the mountain? Is he I mean, is there like does his hoof dig in? What's going on there? I want to know.
It does. I think they talk about that.
In the milking room, he on the perch.
Yeah.
Like ooh.
His hoof like digs into the concrete.
Yeah, and it talks about like when she was wanting him to like have sex with her in her house, he looked around and he was like, I'm gonna ruin your bed. My hoof's gonna ruin your bed.
I'm gonna like run into the carpet in the bed. Yeah.
So then I want to know more about his vinegar strokes. So
but what do you think of the cover? What do you rate the cover?
I'm
trying to bring us back. I really am.
Yeah. Bring me back in there. Yeah, I'm gonna give it a 4. I thought it was a delightful piece of artistry, especially compared to the OG version, which is very giving off clip art vibes.
Yeah, Kelly,
I enjoyed looking at this one more.
I think the cover's fine. I agree with Ashley. You look at this cover, you know exactly what you're going to get. So as far as it representing what was in the book, it's pretty straightforward. I did like the clever pun that they used on the cover.
The monster bait.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I love it. The monster bait romance.
I think it's interesting too when you compare it to the book from his perspective. Mm-hmm. It's almost laid out the same way, but you see the female perspective be much more romantic and the male perspective book cover being a little bit more straightforward. They're wearing the same kind of stuff. Like it's the same pose but different. I think that's really interesting as well.
What's the name of the second book?
A Blue Ribbon Romance?
Yeah.
I'm so fucking sorry.
Yeah.
That's like some state fair shit here.
Yeah.
Nice.
So it's like a fun nod that like she's in the same colored dress and you know, it's almost like he's in the same kind of pose, but it's a little bit more demure, mindful, if you will.
He absolutely looks more like a Highland cow in that one too, though.
Yeah, he does look more like a Highland cow. Yeah. Absolutely, he does.
Oh yeah. It's well, okay. Well, and then the lips aren't there. We need the fucking lips. You can't give me the lips in one and take them away in book 2. I need.
Jonathan, I feel like I need to like Google for you like cow lips eating things or something and send it to you.
I want to see like. I want to know if these cows have fucking fantastic soup coolers.
All right, so while you Google cow lips, back to fantasy world building, I gave the world building a 4. For me, I thought it was really well done. Because like the first time I read this, I wanted to know more about Cambric Creek. I'm like, it was so cool that there was all these different creatures, all these different monsters, all these different accommodations for them. There was like this one area where they felt safe and included in Cambric Creek, but when you go outside of it, there was all these things that showed you the prejudices and things in the world of against the monsters. And also the author still managed to bring in like things from our world, like food deserts and like student loans and how you can get way over your head in debt and then graduate with all this education and not be able to get a job.
Yep.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, very well done. Ash?
Yeah.
Did you say a number?
Oh, 4. I'm sorry, 4.
Did I miss it?
You did.
I'm sorry.
Pay attention, Ashley.
okay.
I'm the worst.
Hey, get in here. Get your head in the game.
I can't believe there's part 2. I'm so excited. I was
You
trying
should read
to
the other ones
I
too.
was
They're
trying
very
to
good.
I get excited too. It's just gonna be like ad hoc benefits for me. What is it? Value add. That's what it is. You read the book. I might just buy that book for you now.
I very much enjoyed the fantasy of this. It wasn't like punch you in your face, right? Like
Right.
it was immersive. She packed a lot of information in there, and I think I really wanted to understand what her mom's response was. I feel like that was passed over entirely. I wanted that drama, but maybe we get it later. I don't know. But I enjoyed the world building. I enjoyed the friends that they made and the neighbor situation. I enjoyed that they had, Violet had like that one-on-one girl time with the neighbor friend, right? And was like, what is your interspecies relationship like, and how do you handle those cultural differences with the families, right? I thought she accomplished a lot in a very small book, arguably. And it was but it was also in a pleasant way. Like I said, it didn't punch you in your face. You weren't overwhelmed with information. You kind of got a little tidbit of the different monster species with explanation, right? And description. Yeah. So definitely a 4 for me. I liked it a lot.
Sarah, Jess, what do you guys think?
Jess, you go this time.
Yeah, I mean, I think I agree with the general consensus. I mean, there's a lot packed into this little book, and there's quite a lot of world building, and I find that sometimes with monster romances, it's almost like one or the other. You either get this like really lovely world building that incorporates the monsters to show how monsters and humans interact, but then sometimes some books just don't give a hoot. They just want to get right to the sex. They're like, it doesn't matter because there's going to be some dicking. So I appreciated that this one had some of that in there, and that it's actually quite like nuanced as well. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I would agree with that 100%. And I think the great thing about these is that they build on what you've learned. So if you've read, Morning Glory Milking Farm and you go on to Sweet Berries, which is the next book in the series, it builds upon what you know. So you already know about the coffee shop. And it'll tell you a little bit more, but then you learn about the ice cream shop. And you can go to the ice cream shop, but it has a cart, 8 blocks down and to the left. And it's the same owners. I love knowing these little things, but also again, it doesn't take itself too seriously. I feel like sometimes when I read, for example, I'm reading about Bryce going through the city, right? And a Sarah J. Maas book. And I have to pay attention to everything that Bryce sees because it's going to come back and I'm going to have to file it away. Yes. And I don't have a great memory. Right? So I'm not going to remember the doorway that she saw in book 1 when I'm in book 3. I'm not going to remember that.
Same.
But I am going to remember that that Mothman didn't want to eat that green ice cream. My brain is simple sometimes, right? We work these long days and I love having this escapist fantasy that there's world building, but it's not so serious that I have to pay attention to every single thing that happens. My brain really
You're not taking notes.
That.
It's not homework.
No,
it is.
I'm never, listen guys, I'm never going to take a note when I read a book ever. And I'll tell you that right now. If it's not for work and I'm not in school anymore, I don't give a shit. I'm reading for escapism and for the fun and for the smut and for the monsters. So for me, it's not a ton of world building, but it's enough that I totally agree with a 4 ranking there. Absolutely.
I'm going to give it a 3 in world building because it just felt so.
Because you couldn't find out about the lips.
It was the lip. I did come across a term from Gordon Ramsay called beef cheeks, and so now I'm even further down this rabbit hole, and I'm gonna have to delete my browser
Your
history.
FBI agent.
He's like, I don't know what's going on. What's happening? This is insane.
Yeah. Welcome to monster fucking browser history.
Listen, there's some interesting websites where you can get some visuals. Is all I gotta say.
Yeah, I thought the only reason I give it a 3 is because I keep going back to it just felt very like friends.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Well, it does sound like you had fun with this book in your
I
own
had
way.
fun
so.
after this book.
Yeah. So then maybe this is your gateway fun
Really.
book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It could be.
Romance in this book. We separate romance and spice. So for romance, for me, I would say it was a 2. This is not a heavy romance book on its own for me. It's more insta-lust, insta-romance, which is not my particular brand of romance. But if you take into account the blue ribbon romance part of it, like I feel like it's better. But like if I'm just looking at this book, for me, the romance itself was a 2.
Nah, I thought it was a 3. It was polite. There was courtship.
Yeah.
You said that like there was gonna like a 15-point disparity.
No.
You were like, nah, it's not a 2 at all. It's a 3.
Because 2 is below average. I thought it was an average romance book.
Do you know what the average is? How can you say that?
Because
I don't
we
know,
only
you're the
go
one
up
with
to
the
5,
spreadsheet.
sir.
Yeah, but how many books have you rated to establish an average? You don't even have.
No. I'm just talking about this
Not
book.
historical
This book
data.
on a score of 1 to 5. 3
I'm
would
gonna-
be average, and 2 is below average.
And write a Python code for this.
Yeah, let me know what you come up with. Thanks so much. I thought it was a 3. There was courtship. He was considerate of her feelings. It like obviously there were extenuating milking circumstances. There were fantasies. It was a sweet little romance. He could have banged her in the car or at the restaurant, full 50 Shades, right? Done some dirty, nasty shit, and it didn't go down that road. I thought it was very polite. That it was very demure until it wasn't.
Yeah.
Until it wasn't. I liked it a lot. It was pleasant. Again, it wasn't like punch you in your face, fated mates bullshit right out the gate or anything.
Sarah and Jess?
I'd say 3 is fair.
3? I'd say I would give it a 2. I think. I mean,
Okay.
because it's not quite my type of romance. Like, I don't like the insta lust. You know, like I don't like that it started off kind of sexual already. I need the build up personally. I need that burn. I didn't feel no burn. It was lukewarm.
It was demure. That's what you're saying.
It's too demure.
It was beige.
I don't know how milking somebody's cock is demure, but okay, guys. All right. Mindful, sure, but demure, I don't know about that.
You know
Romance.
what? It gave off very junior high kind of vibes. Like
Demure.
Like I want it to be special.
That's what I said. There was courting.
That was like a number 2. Like a number 2
Okay.
pencil, just
2.
like the school
Okay.
glue. Yeah. That's what we're going with.
Okay.
Spice for me was a 5. Like this did have absolutely all the spice, 100%.
Jess is like,
thought-
no.
Oh no, hold on. Their spice
my
bar
bad.
is higher. Their spice bars, they're comparing this to something else.
Yeah.
They have there's tongues and other things. They don't have lips at all, but they got tongues, elongated tongues. I know what you can do with those things.
Yeah. I think it's
You
like
do?
a 3.5.
Yeah, we're on a different
Yeah.
level.
Mhm.
Sarah and I are
Mhm.
a different
Our
level.
spice level is a lot higher. I think like a 3.5. I mean, I think the spice is
Oh,
good
Holy
when we
shit!
get it.
Holy shit!
Yeah, but I don't think
I
it's
don't know.
like
I don't know what
that
you know.
spicy. Like the things that we read are so filthy that this, like for me, is like it's like a 3.5. I think the 5 comes from like the rutting of like the feet in the ground. I'm like, that's pretty animalistic, but like it's not really that spicy for us per se.
Yeah.
Not saying it's not bad, and I enjoyed the spice when it's there, but like it's pretty cozy. Like the book is
It's
it's kind of cozy.
Yeah.
I thought, yeah,
Like,
cozy,
I know
what?
what
cozy.
you described it as like
Vanilla.
cozy spicy. This is absolutely cozy
Well,
spicy book. Yes.
Yeah.
Something that we haven't mentioned yet is it would be considered a cinnamon roll monster romance.
Oh yeah,
Yes.
I have no idea what
100%.
that means.
Yeah.
Please
Okay.
elaborate.
Jess,
Sarah?
Tell
You
me.
know,
explain,
Nathan, you
Jess.
were at the panel we were at. Go ahead.
Sarah, you explain.
Okay,
You know
yeah,
better
so-
than I.
a cinnamon roll monster is a monster that's like very sweet. It has a lot of like human attributes, right? Like so they're gonna romance you. They're gonna be that Ross to your Rachel, if you will, Jonathan. Right?
Okay.
They were on
yeah.
a break. Just kidding. But like
The second
Jess and
time somebody
I-
told me that today.
Jess and I are of the kind of mind thing that like we I love this book. So like, don't get me wrong, but like we also like our monsters to be monsters. So like if they are not PC and they are acting monstrous, like that is an element of the genre, right? So I think we get glimpses of that a little bit when we talk about like Rourke really like kind of losing himself and running into her and things like that. But he's still a sweet, polite man that courts her, right? Like Monster Man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's not like taking whatever he wants. You know what I mean? Like he is a
There's
cinnamon roll. He's that
consent.
sweet cinnamon. Exactly. He took time. He
100%.
got baked. He's got an icing on top of it. It's very thick, but it's there, you know. But he's not
Oh,
monstrous. You're not worried about him losing control ever. You're not afraid of him, you know, just like ravaging her and just it being just so monstrous. You're like, oh, he's like a sweet guy. Let me brush the hair out of his eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To use
Yeah.
a term that I heard on your guys' podcast,
Oh.
there's no scarousal.
Yeah.
Yes.
There's no scarousal. Yeah. That's great. Yeah. No, I think that's perfect. And I think there's maybe a little bit more when you go through the rest of the series. Like with the Mothman book, there's like a little like a voyeurness to it. That's a little bit of that, but it's still they're cinnamon rolls, you know? They're not scary, and that's part of it, right? It's going over that like, oh, they're monsters, but we are in an accepting community where they're not.
Right.
But I think it's still a good intro book for somebody that hasn't really read this kind of like monster romance before, but it's not scary, you know. You're not aroused and also afraid. You're just aroused, which is great too.
It's one or the other. Like
No, not in our world. It's
No.
both.
okay, I was
Yeah,
gonna say, I was
no,
like,
no,
hints.
no.
I thought maybe you could be both, or maybe one could
Scarousal.
draw.
You can be. You
do the
can
other.
be both. You
How do
said
you spell that?
specifically,
That's
Jonathan, you didn't want scary, so this is the not
Yeah, I don't
scary
like
monster book.
that is an aphrodisiac for many, is to
Yeah.
be
Yeah.
scared / afraid and aroused. Scarousal.
Yeah.
Is that like that's a legitimate word?
So is bangeting.
Banging.
Yeah,
I don't know that one.
banging
I
is when you fuck the magic on.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Ash, what was your spice rating on this?
Spice rate. There was a lot of spice. It was polite spice. I don't think it's the spiciest thing I've ever read. I want to say it was like a 3.5.
Okay.
It was again, you know, based on the cover, I said it earlier. It was exactly what I expected, and in such a small book, right? Like it was 250 pages, some odd. So yeah, it was a 3.5. I thought it was nice spice.
Moving on. I think we've done all our bits that we normally do, right? Oh no, Jonathan. Yeah, Jonathan, did you say spice? You did say spice, right? Or no?
He mentioned the calculator earlier, but I don't know that he gave.
Yeah, I definitely have.
True.
This one scored high on the calculator. It's a 72% on the calculator, and I have fuck it. Let's go all the way to 4.
Maybe 4 for you.
Yeah, you
High
know what?
spice.
We gotta get you some more books, Jonathan.
Yeah, I'm just a baby.
Yeah.
He's new. He's new here, guy.
It's okay.
All right, and then the last question is this a kissing book? For me, I put yes.
Yeah.
I think it's a kissing book. I think it
it's a
had to have like, yeah, full on.
We still have to figure out how they kiss, though.
That's what I'm saying. That's the only. Ooh, it's the outlier.
They're kissing, but we're not quite sure how.
All right, so I know we're rounding up on time here, but I wanted to go into like normally we'll do a little rapid fire after this, but instead of that, I wanted to talk a little bit about you guys and Hissin' and Kissin'. And one of the things I was trying to do coming up into the holiday season is highlight little like small businesses and things. Like we had a small business last episode, and we're going to have another one next one. But I also want to remind everybody that a lot of times these podcasts and things you listen to are also small businesses.
Yeah.
So, for example, if you're a person you want to buy a gift for likes a certain podcast or a certain like artist or a certain indie author or whatever, a lot of times these creators have things that you can buy. Hissin' and Kissin' has cool little t-shirts and totes and mugs and sweatshirts.
I saw
And-
you made a purchase from us today, and I appreciate that very, very,
I
very
did.
much. That was
Mari Santa
wonderful.
bought something for Mari Is there anything? I know we talked a little bit about you guys at the beginning, but is there anything else? Jonathan, Ash, you guys have any questions for them or
I
anything
have
else?
questions.
Sarah and Jess, you guys want to talk
Okay.
about?
He's got a notebook, guys. There's a notebook.
Okay.
Oh,
So,
wow.
That's okay. I'm ready.
Oh wow.
what's this thing I heard about on your podcast? Alpha, beta, omega.
Oh.
And then
yes.
You opened up a can of worms.
That was the biggest
Prioritize,
question
Jonathan.
you could have
Happy
asked.
birthday, Sarah.
Yeah, I got a whole list that I got questions on.
Okay, rapid fire.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sarah, you take this one. I'll take the next one.
Okay, so alpha, beta, omega is our types of people in the Omegaverse. What is the Omegaverse? I'm so glad you asked. It is a universe in which alpha, beta, and omegas live. Alphas, if they are male, they have a penis with a big knot on the end. If they are an omega, they basically get very horny and they need to be fucked by alphas when they go into heat. There can be female alphas and also male omegas, but we're not going to dive into that because it's rapid fire. And betas are normal people. Is that good?
And if you're a male omega, you can get pregnant, and that is
Yes.
called mpreg.
Yes.
Is that another question?
No, I saw a whole movie on that one with Danny DeVito and.
Yeah, we actually talk about that. Yeah.
Yep.
Absolutely.
All right. So with that knowledge, Shrek and Donkey, who's who?
Oh, Jess, take that
Okay. Absolutely, Shrek is the alpha.
one. Yeah, agreed.
Donkey's an omega.
Yeah.
Yes.
And all you have to do is even look at his relationship with the dragon. He's definitely getting bottomed in that relationship.
100%. Yeah.
R2D2,
Yes.
C3PO.
Oh, we talked
just
about
did this
also.
one. Yeah.
So we
Oh.
have a segment where we have a segment on our Omegaverse episodes where we say who is the alpha, who's the omega.
Yeah.
And we agreed that R2, being the war criminal he is,
Yeah, he's the alpha.
and no, not a snitch either.
No.
Yeah, he's the alpha.
Jonathan, if you have questions in the future, we have a whole channel on our Discord where you can put alpha and omega in at any time and the whole group can talk about it. So we literally have a channel called Alpha or Omega. So like that's what you can do that anytime you want to and on our on our Discord.
It's amazing.
Actually, on that, along those lines, where can people find you guys?
Oh, usually we have this written down.
You had one job.
And my screen is frozen.
Not even going to make you do it in any kind of a funny voice.
What
either.
happened is we kept saying it randomly and my husband Brad, who like does like our producing, was like, if you don't write it down,
I got it.
the two of you are such a hot mess. Okay. Just go.
Okay, you ready? You can find us on our Instagram at Hissin' and Kissin' Podcast. In the bio of our Instagram, we have a couple of links. We have a link to our website, www.hissinandkissinpodcast.com. We also have a link to our link tree. There are different links to places you can listen to the podcast. There's a link to the website, of course. There's a link to our coffee account. Make sure you head over to our website where we've got some merch. Make sure to get it. We have a TikTok account, hissin.kissin.pod, an email, hissinandkissinpodcast@gmail.com. Send over your questions, comments, and or concerns. And again, don't forget about our coffee account. I think that's everything.
Well
I need a cigarette
done.
after that.
Very good. Very good. All right. Thanks for listening to Of Swords and Soulmates. Before we go, make sure to check the show notes, rate, review, and subscribe to us on your podcast app of choice. It helps others to find us. Follow us on Instagram at Of Swords and Soulmates, or join our Facebook page, Of Swords and Soulmates. Check out our website, ofswordsandsoulmates.com, and we're also available on YouTube, TikTok, and Pinterest with the same username. If you'd like to offer a suggestion for a future rapid fire question, reach out to us on any of the options above or email us if you want to read along with us as we prep for a new episode. You can follow us on Goodreads at Of Swords and Soulmates, or for chapter by chapter interaction on the Fable app. We're actually not going to be reading a book for the next episode, but if you're on the Fable book club, we're going to be reading a book that we're not going to talk about in the podcast. We're going to read the Phantasma book. Phantasm? Oh my God. It's the book of
Phantasma.
Thank you. I'm like, oh my God.
And I had to sound it out. It's okay. Phantasma by Katie Smith. Kayle Smith.
So if you want to have a discussion about that, we're going to be reading that on the Swords and Soulmates book club on Fable. We hope that you'll join us in 2 weeks for the next episode when we will have yet another special guest. It's going to be Amy of Maple Grass Design, and we're going to be talking about The Nightmare Before Christmas.